Hello, welcome to Record Time. Record Time is a weekly Akashic experience where we explore simple and mysterious themes through the lens of the Akashic Records. My name is Mina. I'm super happy to be here with you. I'm excited to just drop into this week's message. So, the keepers of the records are asking us, in the constellation of your being, how often do you sit in the center? In the constellation of your being, how often do you sit in the center? And you can think of this really using the imagery of a constellation, a star system, the solar system even, which are different things, but imagining the solar system where there's the sun, there's a central point that's holding all of the other cosmic bodies in place. So in our solar system, it's the sun and all the planets, and the asteroid belts and this and that, all the things that are in our solar system. And yet there's that central point. And if you look at the galaxy, whatever scale you want to look at, there's a center point that holds the whole thing in place as everything spirals around it. And using this imagery, right, it's like there's a center point, there's gravity, there's spiralic motion. All of this it can feel abstract and poetic, and yet it is so intrinsic to our nature. It's like we are just like that. And so what they're using this imagery to reflect back at us, you can think about it in the scale of a star system with planets and gravity in a center and spiraling bodies around it. And it's a mirror for our being, the deep self, and all of the parts and layers of our being that are in constant spiralic motion around that center point. And what they're asking us is, in the constellation of your being, right, in the star system, the ecosystem of your being, how much time do you spend just on one planet that's going around the center, or on a couple planets that are going around the center? And how much time do you spend in the center as the sun, in the center, the place that's holding the binding body, the center, the heart of the system that's holding it all together? And again, what that means at a practical level, on a personal level, is how much time do you spend in your outer layers, the way you present yourself with your friends, with your coworkers, even with your family, and maybe those get closer and closer to the center. And how much time do you just spend as your truest self in the complete stillness of the center of the spiral? How much time do you spend in your parts, fully being a part of yourself? The sweet part, the angry part, the diligent part, the lazy part. How much time are you spending almost keeping your center, your core identity, in one of the planets, in one of the parts? And how often do you sit in the center? Do you come back into the deep awareness that I am the one holding all of these parts? I'm not just Mars. I'm not just Jupiter. I am not even just the sun. It's I'm the gravitational center of the sun. I'm the gravitational force at the center of the sun that holds all of it together. I am the one that has no traits even. That is peace. That is stillness. That is just the witnessing force. That from my center seat, I can see all of these parts are part of my solar system. I can see all of the pieces of the constellation of my being. I can see all of my parts. And yeah, sometimes I identify with them. And I still have the capacity, I have the ability, I have the practice of coming back to the center of who I am, touching into the deep self, even if it's just for a moment. And what this invitation is when it gets really loud, when you find yourself really in the outer planets, in the outer layers of the spiral, the parts of the spiral that go really fast. And it's easy to get caught up in the chaos there. When you find yourself identifying wholly with a part, I'm the victim, I'm the champion, I'm the sweet one, I'm the diligent one, whatever it is. When it gets really loud and you almost feel like squished by that identity or so caught up in that identity, how is your skill at, when you're totally mired in the identity, to dip back into the center and remember that you are the one that holds that part as well as all the other parts? That's one piece of you, not the whole thing. That's one part of your system. That's one part of your constellation. That's one part of your ecosystem. And it's not the whole thing. And how is that skill and practice of dipping back into the center that is stillness, peace, awareness, the one that sits at the center, that is a perfect witness for all of the parts that move around it? You can imagine it literally. If you were the sun, you have a good view of all of the other planets moving around you. Whereas if you're, one of the outer planets, like Saturn, you don't always have a great view of all of the other planets. But the thing at the center has a good view of everything that's happening. So it's like, how can you come to the central seat, the seat of the witness, the deep self, and just touch into that? And it doesn't mean that you don't get to be all of your parts, and it doesn't mean you don't get to identify with all of the different parts. That is what it is to be human. And as a tool, as a source of relief, when it gets to be too much, do you remember? Are you able to remember, access that space inside yourself? Like, oh, I'm the witness. I'm the one holding the parts. Are you able to hold both of those things at the same time? And sometimes that's not going to be possible. And sometimes it's not even appropriate to do that. But it's an invitation and a reminder, if things get really hectic, if it's been a while since you've touched into the center, this is just a call home. Just come back home, an invitation to touch back into that for a minute, for a second, whatever it is, to even just remember that exists, even if it's not possible to touch in with that right now and to really feel it. Can you just remember that part exists? The one that holds all of you is still there, even if you don't feel like you have access to it right now. So that's the invitation and inquiry for today. It's just an invitation to remember that the deep self, your center, the still, non-judgmental, non-volatile center of who you are is there. And if you feel like you're in the other layers and parts, it's like a sweetness and a relief, a playful reminder, just to remember, oh yeah, that exists too. And maybe I'm not in it right now, and that's fine. But, oh yeah, it's there. And I'll be able to come back to it when I can. And maybe that's now, and maybe that's not now. And that's okay. Okay. Let's that's where I'm going to leave you for today. And if this sparks something in you, if this helped you remember something and you want to share, I'd love to hear what this inspired within you in the comments. And I'm also curious if you have a way of dropping into your center, share it. Let us know. Be generous if you feel called to be, and share it in a comment or a message. Really, a comment would be lovely. That way everyone can see what your favorite way to drop into your center is. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you if you feel called to share. And until next time, I'm wishing you well. Namaste.